full stack software engineer. I think you are a bit late for that. Let me tell you why. So all jobs have a life cycle. They get born, they get hyped up, and they eventually quietly die. And the full stack developer or the full stack software engineer just finished that cycle. And quite frankly, the data on that is a bit rough. This is the part that should get your attention. The exact same cycle is running on a different title. Maybe it is yours. Maybe your job is gonna get replaced, and I wanna put numbers on that. Let's get started. So let's start at the beginning, because you can't understand how something dies until you understand how something is born, right? So sometime in the 2000s, the term full stack was born, which referred to a specific type of engineer. Back then, a lot of software was Java EE, which was the dominant enterprise stack of the era. And Java EE is clearly split into three different stacks, three different types of layers. What the user sees, what is the business logic underneath, and the databases. So basically, three different types of skills, three different types of people needed. So when you as a founder or as a recruiter or as somebody who's looking to get these things done, if you found somebody who actually knew all of those things, you knew that that person was special because that person was rare. So you see, full stack wasn't a personality trait. It was a scarcity signal. And then, as we all know, the 2010s happened and the term rare turned into marketable. A piece of technology called Node.js let a developer write JavaScript on both the client and the server side. Same languages, both ends, no context switching, and other types of technologies like early AWS, Azure, and Firebase, for indie developers. All these things sort of collapsed the complex parts of shipping something into something very simple, because the hosting, deployment, infra, all of those things were taken care in just a couple of clicks. And startups which were short on cash but very big on ambition, they realized that they could hire just one generalist, which was sort of the jack of all trades, to do all of those things, make a lot of money early on, and then eventually hires these specialists. Now, all of this information, layer this on top of Mark Anderson writing, "Software is eating our world." This is something he wrote in 2011, and suddenly every company on earth needed a software developer or a software engineer in some capacity. And so the demand for the generalists, these spiked up, and this was the birth of the fame of the full stack software engineer. Because this is the time the full stack person stopped being a title and started being a brand. Entire series of boot camps of 12 months, 16-month boot camps were built around this idea of being a software developer, promising jobs at the end of it. This term became a LinkedIn keyword and also a resume flex, something that you would put on top of your resume signaling, I can do everything. And this is the part that many people get wrong. Full stack did not die because of AI. We had signals of it dying even before 2023. Because you see, in 23, there were a lot of engineers and a lot of people who I personally respect in tech who were calling this bullshit out, who were arguing that you cannot be excellent in all of the areas, because if you are everywhere, then you are nowhere. And that full stack had sort of become this signal that we want somebody who is doing the job of three things, but we're just going to pay him the salary of one. All of this critique that I'm mentioning, all of this existed even before any AI model or AI tool was launched. And when AI actually showed up, it did not create a new problem. It just made the old one impossible to ignore. Because the entire premise of full stack was knowing all the three layers was rare. Now, AI made writing code in every layer cheap. And once the hard part isn't hard anymore, the person who gets paid for doing all of it stops being special for doing all of it, because all of it is now being done cheaply and more effectively and faster with the help of AI. And I think if you're searching jobs at this point, you can see this very clearly. The bottom of the ladder, the entry-level roles have been impacted the most. SignalFire's data on the biggest tech companies of the world show how entry-level hiring is down 25%. Compensation data from Ravio shows entry-level hiring is down 70%. And that is not a slow correction. That is just the bottom of the rug getting kicked out, meaning the skills and expertise and whatever was needed by an entry-level engineer, that is not needed anymore. Now, this is where I want to slow down, because there is a twist in the story. I don't want to skip on something that most videos skip on. In July 2025, a research group called METR ran actual controlled experiments in this. Real developers, real tasks, measuring actual time. And what they found out? Developers who were using AI to complete their development tasks, coding tasks, any technical work, were taking 20 to 30% extra time to complete their tasks, even though they claimed that they were completing their work faster. And the more interesting part, when METR wanted to conduct a follow-up experiment 7 months down the line, most people just refused to take part in the experiment because they were not wanting to work without any AI tools. The amount of people refusing to go without AI were so large that the data was actually not usable. So, to be honest, the current data on does AI make us productive, does AI make us good or bad as developers, as technical people, isn't a yes or a no. We genuinely don't know that anymore because there are different types of people using different kinds of AI in different kinds of workflows for different types of things, and it is not quantifiable at this point of time. But what we do know is people don't want to work without AI now, and that to me is, I don't know if it's scarier or I don't know if it is changing the way we work, because AI was supposed to make our lives easier and make our lives fun, and I guess it's doing that because it's taken away all the grunt work which entry-level engineers used to do in the weeds. That's one part of it, one angle to see it. The other part, or the other angle in which we could see it, is maybe we are getting a bit too dependent. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. So the full stack isn't just dying. I think it's sort of splitting into two parts. One side is the software engineer, the systems architect side of things, and on the other side, AI fluency just becomes the absolute baseline for anything that we do. Like the way how using email was baseline, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And this split is not hypothetical. The creator of Claude Code at Anthropic set out flat that software engineers won't be needed in a few years, and that will be replaced by something called a builder, because in his view, pretty much everybody would be coding up everything that they want. And I actually fully don't agree with this. And I think it's worth me saying exactly where I land, because I am in this space. I spend like 12 to 15 hours every single day working with these AI tools in tech, on my day job, in my free time, on my side projects. And although I think the term builder is genuinely become more and more common, and actually I love that part of it. Most people being able to build their own stuff, bringing their ideas to life very easily, very quickly, being able to prototype faster and quicker without needing capital and money for engineering teams is a genuinely good thing for the world. I'm a fan of that. But I don't think software engineering is going away. Maybe it is converting to agentic engineering or whatever, loop engineering or graph engineering or whatever these terms are popping up. But the act of thinking and solving problems is not going anywhere. But to solve and think critically through these systems, you need domain knowledge, you need fundamentals, and the scope for taste and judgment and expertise and craftsmanship. That is not going anywhere. In fact, I think the difficult but the boring part of writing syntax has gone, but the actual act of thinking isn't going anywhere. I'm actually going to make short form reel on this, and I'm going to talk about this on my Instagram later on. But I think that if you think that AI is making you dumb or lazy, then bro, you're not even in the AI game. Anyways, how I think about it is, back in the day, like, there were just bakeries. But then people learned how to bake breads. But still, bakeries are there. Nobody bakes bread at their home. Well, some people do out of hobby, but still for our day-to-day needs, we need bakeries to build good breads, right? Different kinds of bread, different varieties of bread. And that's why true craftsmanship and taste and expertise isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's becoming more and more important to master fundamentals, either through school or through building a bunch of projects yourself, maybe 10, 20, 50 projects of different complexities. And then you can master those fundamentals, and then you can just, do anything. But to do all those things, you still need time, you still need to put in the effort, even though there are no tools to assist you. So if you're trying to do something instead of just doom scrolling it, this is what I do if I want to catch up. Number one, systems thinking over syntax memorization. Knowing a language syntax is actually worth $0 in 2026 and will be negative in 2030. Knowing how a system fits in together, that is the mode. That's becoming the entire job at different organizations, and just not in tech, in different fields as well. Number two, verification and judgment. Being the person who can judge when things go wrong, when AI produces bad stuff or not usable stuff, and making it sound and secure and robust. And again, all these things come from expertise and experience that you can build either by going to school or by building a bunch of projects, which you will anyways have to do if you go to school also. Number three, business and domain knowledge. Being able to take a vague, non-technical ask from a person and turning it into technical business solution, right? And number four, AI fluency in all directions. That is the modern version of knowing all stacks, right? Not knowing every layer yourself, but knowing tools that do. As I've been mentioning in this video, it all comes down to solid fundamentals which you can build yourself now. And this is probably one of the most counterintuitive picks that I'll mention, is that try to go deep in one or two topics, very deep down, because that will separate you from just, a prompt engineer or whatever, to actual somebody who knows stuff. Again, if you build 50 different projects of different complexities, all of this is covered. I don't know how many times I would have said that, but yeah. So to finish it off, titles are built out of scarcity, they get hyped up because of incentives, and then they quietly die the moment they stop being rare. all of this game is to bring value to your employer, to this world, to other people, then that is the key to earning money in any capacity, right? So if writing syntax and writing code and being a full stack developer doesn't give you any value, it is time to shift your priorities to things that get value, right? And yeah, you cannot stop the cycle. You cannot predict the cycles. Nobody can. But you can stop being surprised by it, because what is valuable now might not be valuable 10 years or 20 years down the line. That is just the nature of the work, and change is the only constant. So the more you can embrace it, the more you can have a learner's mindset, the better it is for you. And if this is not your cup of tea, then I think you will be better off in a different profession, because if you like something else, you might as well put your time into something else, right? Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.